One of the most common questions I get is how do I track this, in particular when going out to eat at restaurants or at like a family or friend's house when they're serving a meal. So I want to talk through a few different situations or scenarios and some options that you have for like how to actually track in those situations. So one option could be that you're going to a restaurant and maybe they publish their calories and or macros. So a lot of places, if you Google them or even on their menu, they will tell you the calories. So if you're in that type of situation, one thing that you can use within MyFitnessPal tool is called Quick Add. Now, Quick Add is actually only an option that's available for premium users. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use that if you are in MyFitnessPal Premium. But there is also a way, a kind of like backwards way of doing a Quick Add function that would serve the same purpose. So if you have MyFitnessPal Premium, what you can do is go ahead and go into your diary, and then you can click the your next to the add food button, there's the three little dots. You can click that and click Quick Add. So with the Quick Add, essentially what this does is it allows you to enter in either the calories or the macros of whatever food it is. So if you know that information, you could just put in, 10 grams of fat and 25 grams of carbs and 15 grams of protein, and then it'll take that and put it into your diary. Now, if you don't have MyFitnessPal Premium, another way to go about doing the similar thing is you can actually search each macro in the database. So if you click Add Food, you could search protein macro. And the first one that pops up, this is just 1 gram of protein. So if you log like 5 and I add it to my diary, we can go in and see it logged 5 grams of protein. Same thing, you could go look up carbohydrate macro, fat macro, and you could just log the carbs and fats for that meal. So that's one option. Now I'll say that's probably not as common because not a lot of places do have that available. There are a lot of restaurants that publish their nutrition online. If it's kind of like a smaller chain or a big chain, you might be able to find that. Some other options for restaurants, especially this is a really good one if you're at more of like a mom and pop type shop, is essentially finding a similar alternative. So for example, let's say maybe you have like a local pizza joint that you really like to get pizza from. Their pizza is probably going to be very similar to another like major brand of pizza. So maybe like Domino's or East of Chicago or something. So you could look up one of those pizzas and log that instead. A third option, and this is what I would say I do most of the time, is just really taking apart my meal, piece by piece and logging that. So, if I go out and I order a burger, for an example, and fries, what I might do is, a lot of restaurants will say, hey, it's a half-pound burger. So I'll literally look up like ground beef and log a half a pound of ground beef. The bun that they use is probably no different than the bun at the grocery store. The cheese that they use, I'm just going to assume it's about like an ounce of cheese, and it's probably, again, no different than what's in my fridge. So I'm going to log that. Same with my toppings. And you can literally just go piece by piece and log it all. Now, you're going to be doing a lot of eyeballing in this situation, so it's probably not going to be perfect. Well, actually, correction. It's definitely not going to be perfect, and the goal is never to be perfect. I think a lot of people can kind of spin on this a little bit because they want it to be tracked perfectly, but the reality is you're never going to be able to track perfectly in that situation. Even if you spend years tracking your food, you're never going to be able to do it perfectly. So just eliminate that as like a goal or an expectation. And the goal is just to do as good as you can, get it as close as you can. And as you have more and more practice with tracking, it'll get easier and easier to do that eyeballing. So I know for me, like before I ever started tracking, before I ever started weighing my food, I had no idea what like 4 ounces of chicken looked like, as an example. But after spending a lot of time tracking at home, I would weigh out my food a lot. And so I had a really good idea of, okay, what does 4 ounces of chicken look like? Once you weigh that out 100 times, you get really good at eyeballing that. So then when you go to a restaurant and you order chicken and you see that on your plate, you can gauge like, oh yeah, that's about the same amount that I use at home, or it's a little bit more, or it's a little bit less. And then you can eyeball. And same with all the other ingredients. So the more that you track at home and the more diligent you are with that, it's only going to make it easier when you're out of the home, whether it's a restaurant, a friend's house, or anything above. The other thing too is this does get overwhelming and confusing when you're first getting started. So definitely reach out to your coach. All the time I will have clients either like send me a picture of the menu, send me a picture of their dinner plate, and ask, how do I track this? And we can literally talk you through step by step exactly what we would do in that situation or scenario.